Time now for business. We say hello to Yuka Royer.
Hey, Francois.
It was a spy scandal at one of Switzerland's top two banks that's morphed into a power struggle between the CEO and the chairman of the board.
Of the board of Credit Suisse now, Tidjane Thiam is stepping down over this spying scandal that hit the reputation of Switzerland's second largest bank. The issue first surfaced last September when a former top wealth manager at the bank said he was trailed by a private detective after agreeing to join a rival lender. Subsequent revelations that the bank had also spied on a second executive as well as on environmental NGOs opposed to its petroleum investments led to a bitter boardroom battle. The bank says, however, that neither the CEO nor the board knew about the spying and that a former chief operating officer acted alone. Thomas Gottstein, the head of the Swiss business at the bank, will replace Thiam next week. He will be the first Swiss citizen to run the bank in almost 2 decades.
This is a big task. I have great respect for this task, but I'm also very pleased because I have a very good team. Many colleagues from the Credit Suisse management team. We've been working together for a very long time.
French carmaker Renault says its South Korean subsidiary will suspend production at its plant in Busan for 4 days starting next Tuesday. This in response to supply shortages caused by the coronavirus outbreak. Here in France, the carmaker's shares dropped this Friday, down almost 3% at the close. Well, let's get a broader market picture on the last day of the trading week, and Wall Street has pulled back from record high levels despite a much stronger than expected US jobs report, which showed that the economy added 225,000 jobs last month. The Dow is down about 3/5 of a percentage point. Major European markets earlier closed the week in the red, with London's FTSE down 0.5% due in part to a rise in the British pound. Some more of the day's business headlines for you now. As surgical masks fly off the shelves in Asia because of the coronavirus, Foxconn, a major Apple supplier in Taiwan that makes iPhones, is switching part of its production to making those. The company says it has started trial production at its Chinese plant in Shenzhen and expects to make 2 million masks daily by the end of the month. Meanwhile, here in France, Apple has agreed to pay 25 million euros in fines for failing to tell iPhone users that software updates could slow down older devices. Critics had accused the firm of secretly trying to force people to buy new phones. Apple subsequently offered steep discounts on battery replacements. French prosecutors opened an inquiry in early 2018 at the request of a consumer protection group. Jaguar Land Rover will reduce production at 2 of its factories in the UK over the next 4 weeks as part of cost-cutting measures in response to falling demand. Britain's biggest car maker posted a 2.3% drop in sales in the last quarter of 2019 and is struggling to tackle falling diesel demand in Europe and weak sales in China. Ireland is going to the polls and the economy is a big issue. Prime Minister Leo Varadkar has generally been credited with handling Brexit well, but economic and social problems at home may cost him the election. A decade after an economic crash, Ireland's economy has rebounded rather spectacularly, but a lot of people feel left behind and want changes to things like healthcare. The country is also facing an unprecedented homelessness crisis. With housing prices and rents soaring at double-digit rates, more than 10,000 people are unable to find affordable homes. James Wilson has more.
On the surface, the Irish economy has much to recommend it. Last year it grew by 6.3%, the highest figure in the EU, and unemployment is at a low 4.8%. Despite this, many people are unhappy with the government, and the polls suggest voters will likely toss them out on election day. Chief among their concerns, the huge rise in homelessness and the cost of housing since the recession.
So there's a large number of families who have never experienced homelessness before, who say, I can't believe that this has happened to me. Nobody in their family and their network has ever experienced homelessness, so they're completely unprepared for it.
Dublin is now the most expensive city in the Eurozone to rent a property, and the most recent figures found there were nearly 10,000 homeless people living in emergency accommodation. Prime Minister Leo Varadkar bought his first property at 24, but few Irish people can afford to do so at the same age, and he's been regularly challenged on his record during the campaign.
In 2016, the year before I became Taoiseach, less than 10,000 new houses and apartments were built in this country. We now know that about 21,500 were built last year. So we've already doubled supply of housing, and I can double it again over the next 3 years.
Opinion polls have placed Varadkar's centre-right Fine Gael party in second or even third place, with the left-wing Sinn Féin party looking to win the most first preference votes, something it hasn't done in an Irish election since 1918.
That's it for business for now.
Yeah, we'll be watching those Ireland election results. We'll be back with Yuka Royer later with the closing word on Wall Street.